Hi guys, it's Whitney again, back to talk some real talk about Appalachia. So, I watched my first video that I made and it didn't really make a lot of sense because I was a little nervous and I was stumbling over things. So this video is just going to talk a little bit about why is Appalachia poor and why is that okay? Or why was it okay? First of all, America is the land of opportunity. Anybody here that can work hard can make it. That's the American dream, right? Well, back before there were a lot of technologies like the phone I'm holding and videoing for everyone to watch me, what did success mean? What was the American dream? The American dream was coming to America. Number one, you gotta come to America. Number two, working hard. What did they do to work hard? They first they got a land grant, or they bought land, however you want to look at it, and they built a house, and then they started to provide for their families. Now, today, provide for your family means going to a job, earning money, and then coming home and going and paying somebody at the grocery store for your groceries, and then you go over here to a clothing store and you buy your clothes, and then you go, everyone different. That's not how it worked in the old days. Everybody came over here in Appalachia. They started their farm. They made everything. They grew all their own food. Around here, there were a lot of grist mills. People would grind wheat. So I can grow a lot of potatoes. I don't know, I just thought of potatoes. Green beans or something like that. I'll trade you green beans or a chicken for some of your wonderful milled food. So that was that. People took care of themselves. We made our own clothing. We did our own laundry. I say that like it's a bad thing, but we did it in the creek. There's a creek out there. Go do our laundry in the creek. No, everything was done by the family. Everybody pitched in. Everybody had their part. Money wasn't necessarily needed. If you've ever read any kind of frontier things, money wasn't really a big thing. People didn't make money. That's not what made them rich. That's not what made them have a lot of things. They took care of their own and they were able to provide for their families. That was what was important. So around here, you didn't have money to go buy store-bought things, but you had your family and you had something on your plate to eat at night and you had clothes on your back, that kind of thing. It actually comes from that time period when people would say, well, we've got everything we need because we are self-sufficient. We are no longer a self-sufficient society. I did not make this. I did not make these. No, it didn't happen. So, when industry started happening up north, because it didn't happen down here, they needed a few things. What would they need? Coal. Now, I'm not from a coal field. I'm not from a coal area. Just a little ways to the north, not all the way north where all the industry was. Just a little ways to the north. They're the coal fields of Southwest Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, and West Virginia. Everybody's favorite, West Virginia. It's my favorite. My family's from West Virginia. Can you tell? No, I'm kidding. Actually, I do have family from West Virginia, and they were coal miners. So, a lot of people are very confused about coal. Why are those Southerners, Appalachian folk, get it right? Not the other Southerners. The rest of the South don't care about us. They don't understand us. We are unique and we are special and we have the coal. So why are people, we want coal, we don't want to go to solar, we don't want to go to wind power? Well, let's talk a little about what coal meant to us. We can't farm. There's just no way. We live on a rocky top. Dirt's too rocky by far. So we can't provide enough food to make money. But we got coal. And they need coal. They need coal for the trains that are going west. And they need coal to help do the industry up north where they're building all these buildings. And we got the coal. Did we make money off the coal? No. Men went down into those coal mines. They gave their lives. Don't pretend they didn't. Black lung payouts will continue for the rest of forever. If anyone out there is wondering what black lung is, it's a disease you get from breathing coal dust. And let me tell you something. In the 1860s and the 1870s and pretty much the 1970s, you didn't have a mask to wear when you went down into the coal mine. You breathed in the coal dust. They were dying of lung cancer. They were dying of black lung. Now there's a lot of let's not get ahead of ourselves. Men were able to go and work in these coal mines, and they were able to provide extra money for their family where they wasn't able to up in that area. They weren't able to provide anything else. Coal's a racket, though. Let me tell you how. Coal mine company comes into a town. They own the town. The whole town. As in, you live in their housing, the houses that they own, and you pay rent to them. You work for them. You go to the coal mine, you punch your time clock, you go under the ground. Oh, and when you finally are done with your long day's work, don't think about leaving because you don't have a car. Most places you don't have a car, and if you do, where are you going to go? The next coal mine in town over? There's no towns around here you'd go to. Big cities don't exist in Appalachia, folks. Just small, tiny, rural towns. So, when you get your paycheck from the coal mining company, do you know what they pay you in? Well, money, Whitney. Duh, that's why you get paid. No, actually, they paid you in company script, which was money that could only be used in the company store. Yeah, no, I'm not making this up. You can look it up. Coal mining companies would pay people in script for their company store. So, every cent of their paycheck went to, guess what? The coal mining company. This was before workers' rights laws. This was before the EPA. Nobody had a mask. Nobody had health insurance. You got sick, you just hoped you didn't die. And I tell you what, one more thing. Only one person worked in the whole house, and that was Daddy. Or Uncle Rick or whatever. I don't know. Dad. The man of the house worked. And guess what happens when Dad gets injured in a coal mining accident? Sorry, son, you gotta drop out of school. You ain't going to high school. You ain't even gonna get a chance to finish high school because you're gonna go down in coal mines. And it just created this vicious cycle of poverty because they never had enough anyway to get really what they needed. And then these wonderful things formed called unions. They advocated for workers' rights. They made it to where workers didn't have to work really long, awful shifts. And you know what? If they wanted a raise, they said, you're giving us a raise or we're going on strike. And unfortunately, it's not like today when they're like, well, I'll just hire somebody else. They own the whole town. They can't hire nobody else. Everybody in the town works for the coal mine. So people say, well, why did coal go out? Well, number one, coal is not a renewable resource, folks. Look that up if you don't understand it. Basically what it means, it takes over 10,000 years to form coal, and we've already mined out what we got. Can't make no more. We got to wait 10,000 years. And we can't dig no deeper, or we come out in China. Okay, that's a little bit silly, but you know what I'm saying. There's only so much you can dig, and there's just no more left. Oh, and also, if you keep digging and you keep digging, eventually there ain't going to be no land to hold up anything. So, you know, there is a town in Pennsylvania that's actually in collapsing state, and everybody had to leave. Look that up sometime. Look up a lot of things. Look up everything you need to know. You should be looking stuff up right now. Well, actually, watch me first and then go look stuff up. Back to the coal mining. So, why did coal go out? Okay, number one, it's a renewable resource. We're mining the coal. There's not a lot of coal left. Oh, wait, those unions, those pesky unions, they demanded workers' rights. And when we started figuring out stuff like, oh, breathing coal dust, that's not good for our health. Well, they've still got to go down to the mine. Well, we need you to give them respirators. Respirators cost money, guys. You really think that the coal mining company, who was filthy, stinking rich, was going to pay for a respirator for Homer? I used the name Homer because I'm telling you, if you ever meet somebody named Homer and it's not Homer Simpson, they are from West Virginia or they are from a coal field. That is a name. Shout out to Homer Hickam. I love you, man. Anyway, they ain't gonna pay for him to have a respirator, let alone to 500 other people to work in the mine. Oh, and guess what else? Now we've went and we've looked, and it's not safe to be in those shafts. We've not reinforced those in years. So we're going to need you to reinforce those shafts and build safety escapes and ladders and things. And they're like, They tried for a while. They really did. To pretend like they cared. They didn't care. They really didn't care. And eventually they realized there was no money to be made for them because they were going to have to pay these people health insurance. They were going to have to give them respirators. They were going to have to go back through all the mines, make them safe again. And they knew good and well they couldn't make money on what was left under the ground. Now, it's really hard because people say, well, I want coal to come back. It's not that simple. Coal didn't just get up and leave because there was coal left. There was money to be made. They couldn't make filthy, stinking rich money. And let me tell you, there has never been a coal miner that made money. Made good money. He barely fed the mouths in his house. If you've ever heard this song, Coal Miner's Daughter, she's not talking about how she was super spiffy because she was a coal miner's daughter. She was poor. Dirt poor. Poorer than dirt poor. Coal poor. So, the coal mining companies are trying to pretend like they care about building these escape hatches and making all the stuff safe, basically, and providing respirators and things. And then they're like, you know what? This is really, really going to take a big hit, but you know what? We'll do it. And then people were like, oh, by the way, you've been causing black lung and everybody that's went down into that mine for the last 100 years. You're going to pay up. Federal black lung payments will continue if we stop mining coal today. Because it's not just the guy that mined it. It's his whole family that gets those benefits. And they should, because that man went down under the earth and he dug that coal to give his life so somebody else somewhere could heat a steam engine or build something. Coal miners are very industrious, hardworking people. And you'll find those sorts of people here in Appalachia. Not everybody in Appalachia is a coal miner, but I really did want to talk about the coal mining because a lot of people outside of our region here, oh, we want coal back. That's why we elected people that want coal back. I'm not going to get political here. I'm just telling you. It's the only thing we ever had that was industrious. We've never had any kind of other businesses here. There's nothing. Nothing. They want that back because in our minds it was when we could produce, and now, see, here's the thing. There's laws and stuff. They have to pay us decently. Now hazard pay would pay great. It's just there's not much coal left, and they don't care. Industries don't care. If you make money, all they care about is if they make money. And it wasn't profitable for them to stay. So there's still people getting back black lung payments, and there always will be. There's still some coal mines that operate in this area, but there are nothing like what they used to be. Town after town after town, everybody was a coal miner. That's not how it is anymore. A lot of places are switching to renewable energy. We could try to get on that racket, you know. Our people here are willing to do whatever it takes to provide for their families. I will say that. We are a very strong people, and we will do whatever it takes. We could learn a new job. We could bring factories here. And I'm telling you right now, we'd work harder than anybody else in this United States would work. Because people here care. They want their job to be done right. And they want it to be done with their pride involved. I was raised in an area that was a big thing. Whatever you do it with pride. And it wasn't this movement that I've met over the internet when I was like, oh, be proud of who you are. That's not what it was told. It was a completely different sort of thing. When you work, an honest day's work, that's what they'd say, an honest day's work, you have nothing to be ashamed of. We have a very, very special populace here. And I'm sad that we don't get the recognition we deserve. If we could train anybody here to do anything. I mean, we could make anything here. But we would have to actually get somebody that was going to invest in our people. That's what we need to do, Appalachia. We need to invest in ourselves. We need to try to see other people, get other people to invest in us, to build their factories here, and we'll learn whatever they want us to make. We could make solar panels. We could do all kinds of neat things. We could help do things for wind energy. We wouldn't have to have it here. That's not the point. The point is we have a job here to do. It's what I always hear. It's a job. It's a job. Puts food on the table. We deserve it, and we deserve a living wage. Everyone does. Well, I hope you've learned something in this last 15 minutes of me blathering on about Appalachia and how special we are and how awesome we are, because we are. We can be a little odd sometimes, but we really are a very unique group of people, and I really hope you hug an Appalachian today. Bye, y'all.